Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
There are a few people over in the WebEx for whom I'd wait to migrate over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, it looks like a very small group for today.
It looks like the connection breaks down, and each time the connection breaks down, of course, the screen sharing breaks down. So,
Hello, Russ.
so let's see how long that actually takes.
And just out of curiosity, did any of you put the meet echo captures attendance note into the minutes? Because I don't see who put that there. Might have been Barry, but he can't be here today, so I can't ask him right away. I asked around at the chairs mailing list, but didn't get a feedback there yet. But if anyone can confirm that Meet Echo does capture attendance, it's fine with me, and we don't have to do the blue sheets in the CodeMD anymore. Hello, Dave. Okay, being a few minutes in and not having seen any response from Scott, who might still be in WebEx, but I can't really reach him there. I suggest we get started. So welcome to this last Cbor interim before the next Ietf. We have a very short agenda for today that mainly consists of document status and the topic of basically the topic of how do we ensure that the list of tags stays usable, which comes out from the early from the other documents. Is there anything anyone wants to announce to bring up now for other business or for other points in the agenda? Hearing none, I'd like to give a brief update on where the documents that are currently in the working group are, if they have changed recently. One is CDDL control, which was in an extended working group last call for lack of document reviews. Hank just provided one today, so which is largely positive, with just a few nits and textual remarks that I'm positive can be worked in easily. With which I'll conclude the working group last call positively. So Carsten, I'd ask you to work in anything that you would like to pick out of that review into the document, and when that is done and uploaded, we can forward this out of the working group.
So do you want to see the changes in your Shepherd review, or do you want to do a Shepherd review now?
I'll start doing the Shepherd review. I'll start on the Shepherd review. I'll work them in as they come. If that happens before during the freeze, I can even look at the document as it is being in the editor copy and push the button on the Shepherd review on being done when the document is in the state that the Shepherd review reflects.
Good. My plan is to put in some changes for the comments we have by the end of this week, but I can only submit it a week later. So maybe we can collect some comments on the changes that we will have by the end of the week, and make sure that the version we submit on the 19th or so is ready to go. Actually, not 19th, 26th is ready to go.
The window goes open again.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, let's do that.
On to me. The two documents, network addresses and file magic, are both in a very similar shape. Michael, thanks for uploading the latest versions before the cutoff. Are they still, from your point of view, in a change where you don't see anything added to them that would need to be done further?
I think I'm at that point where I don't see anything else that we can do to them that would make them better or worse.
Well, then I'll start a working group last call on them. For the duration for the duration until the Ietf. Unless any comments come up here now on the document, but I don't expect any.
That sounds great.
Okay, so Christian seems to have some audio problems. So the reason I'm showing my slides the whole time here is that for some reason my computer takes a long time to actually start screen sharing. So a discussion that came up was in the context of the network addresses tags was whether we would say anything about the existing tags that do something with network addresses. And that kind of brought up the more general issue. What do we actually have to do in the long term to keep the tag registration mechanism a viable part of the Cbor ecosystem? And tags are pretty important because they are the main extension point. We also have the simple values, but those have only very specific usages, and actually so far we haven't allocated anything there yet, which might change with Cbor Pact. But tags really are used a lot, and they are a bit part of the batteries included approach of Cbor. So you are likely to already find a tag for what you're trying to do. At least that's what most people find. And if they don't find it, well, then they can go ahead and register one. And it's a pretty easy process. So actually, some of the ranges are under first come, first served. And it's a vast space, so we are never going to run out of the entire space. But of course, short tags are better than long tags, so we have to be a little bit careful about the space with the short tags. So the designated expert only sees the first 32K. The FCFS space actually began at 256 with 7049. And with 8949, we decided to expand this a little bit, so we have a little bit more control over the 1+2 byte tag space as well. So just to have a little bit of a numeric foundation here, the scarce part here is the 1+0 part, where 7049 allocated 9 tags. Since 3 more have been allocated, and there are 12 free. So we have gone through half the space here. In 1+1, slightly less efficient, 7 tags were allocated with 7049. 57 tags have been registered since, and about 170 are free. In the 1+2 space, 43 have been registered since 7049, and we have a lot of free. And the 1+4 and 1+8 space are essentially abundant. So we don't really have to care about that. But that's, of course, not the only problem. We not only have to avoid running out, we also have to make sure that the tag space is accessible and isn't such a disaster as the port number space, where people typically don't find ports they might want to use. It's really a rare accident if that port isn't already widely used, like port 80 or port 25. Nobody looks into that registry. So we have to think about evolving that space as something that is accessible to developers. And so what happened in the first 8 years was that we had this initial land rush when 7049 came out. So we had tags, for instance, for the Perl community, later the Haskell community came in, and so on. And then after this initial land rush, we had some pretty steady growth. So people registered something, but also standards registered something, like COSI, COT, and other internet drafts, which are not yet standards, like the time tag, which is being used in Haskell. And there also have been a few efforts actually generating some structure there. So 8746 is for array-shaped structures, and that is nicely laid out a set of 24 tags that can be used for this. And we are trying to do something similar with the map-like tags. So this is where we are, and I don't think that there's anything that's completely going wrong here. Of course, not all tags that have been allocated, in particular in FCFS, are examples of wonderful, great design, but that's not necessary. If somebody has a specific need, they can just come in, register their tag, and get their work done. We also have had very little problems with squatting so far. So tag 42 was the only tag where we had squatting that we didn't notice when we allocated tag 42 to Yang Cbor. And so we had to change Yang Cbor to avoid a conflict between Yang Cbor and published open source software. Okay, so do we need to do any cleanup? So there are tags that replace older ones, and I think the network address case is the first real case that is getting close to working group last call here. Some tags complement others. So when we defined tag 37 in 2013, we really just didn't think about the fact that MIME is mostly binary. So somebody went ahead and actually registered 257 in the first come first served space. At the time it was first come first served. So we now have a different tag for binary MIME, which really doesn't make a lot of sense. It would have been much more reasonable to have a single tag for both. So that also opens the question whether we could have fixed tag 37, but that's of course difficult in a registry situation. And then we have other tags that simply extend previous ones. So tag 268 and 270 are slightly more flexible numbers than the one that have tag 425 and something else, I forget. So that's again a question. Could we have extended the already registered one, but we run into a problem here. So if somebody comes in and says, I want to tag a network address, right now they find tags 52, 54, and 261, and essentially have no guidance which one they should use. But in that case, it's pretty obvious that 52, 54 are the preferred ones because they are simply shorter. But in other cases, it may not be so clear. So how does the implementer navigate this? We could put more information into the registry. Now this, first of all, requires a document that describes what information we put in the registry, but then in particular, it will require continuous working group actions to actually update the registry. So that's something we should not do lightly. So if we really want to do this, it will require some continuous attention. And there's also a little marketing aspect here. We really should encourage people to register something and not have them register something and then come in as the head teacher and say that gets an F and we have a better tag here that you should have been thinking of. That's really what we don't want to tell people. So just having a naked entry in a registry, not recommended or something, that's not so nice. So the approach that I had in mind was to create a separate informative document, and the first attempt at that actually exists as draft form and Cbor notable tags. And this, of course, needs a lot of love. I mean, we are back to this thing, except that we don't have to do it. We can update this on our own schedule. And the intention is to run this as a living internet draft for a while, and maybe actually publish this at some point when we think we have a first set of stabilized commentary on the tags that we actually can say that is the state as of 2025, and we want to publish this. So the only thing that we could improve at some point is to actually get the registry to reference this document, and that of course would require some status. I don't know how flexible IANA is in adding information. Maybe we need to publish something to make sure we get this reference in there. So that's my view of the situation. I think it was good that Brian Carpenter brought this up, but I think we are mostly in good shape here, except somebody would need to find more time to actually work on this notable tags document. So are there any comments on this view of where we are? So Christian, are you back? Okay, he's not back. I think we don't have any other chair. Can you chair from the Jabber?
Let me try this one. Hallelujah. I was one very short of just doing old share stuff from via text, like in the good old days, probably. But yes, one rough comment only on this is that when I saw the slides, I've looked over the charter, and I think that we're within the charter's range of maintaining the Cbor ecosystem with both with changes to the registry and with providing commentary here. So on the procedural side, I've already taken this up as an action item for me to get in contact with people at IANA to see how much, basically what it takes to just get a reference into possibly even a continuously updated internet draft into there. Probably just checking the. So probably one thing that will need to happen, and that might be a good discussion outcome for here, is to consider whether notable tags is, at least within from the scope it has, not necessarily from the content, ready to be adopted, because then this would be easier to justify as a living document that to some extent represents what is happening in the working group, and then thus more easily can be referenced from the registry.
Yeah, so basically we would need to evolve notable tags far enough that it can become a working group document, because we probably don't want to point to individual documents from the registry. And then we should actually get it in there, but it's good to know whether we actually can do that.
On the point of working of describing older tags as not recommended, I'm not sure what the procedure is there, but tags registered with from outside Ietf usually have basically that entity, the entity that registered it as change controller. Is can the, would they be in a position, at least theoretically, I'm not sure even um, from a normative point of view, to withdraw their registrations or change their registrations in that they say that they are not actively used anymore, or deprecate them themselves if we get into contact with them?
Yeah, generally, that's a good question, but generally I think that that's not what I would expect to be the standard procedure, because well, the person that did the registration at the organization may have moved on to a different place, and so it may just be difficult to get the random FCFS registration amended. So I wouldn't write anything like not recommended, except if there is really a bad flaw. So if a tag definition creates a security problem, then maybe we want to point this out. But I think most tags that we don't want to recommend really are just suboptimal. So there's nothing wrong with using them, but it's not in the short list of things that people should implement. But I'm wondering if everybody else is having the audio problem as well, and that's why nobody says anything, or it's just summertime.
I think that if someone says something and cannot be heard, that would probably result in a raised hand or a chat comment. At least I hope so. But we are very small group today. I see Marco, Michael, Russ, and Ricard. Oh, sorry, Ira and Dave are here as well.
Okay, in which case I'd take this home as added motivation to actually get work done on the notable tags document, push this up a little bit higher on my agenda, because we are now getting more and more in the situation that we have multiple tags that would apply, and having some common guidance is probably useful for people who are implementing things. Good. Christian, you're saying something, but I don't hear you.
Now?
Yes.
I'm sorry. This is I'm at our campus. I'm inside our campus Edu room, and this is occasionally flaky. I had hoped to pick the best spot. Anyway, what I was saying is that if this is to become a document that's rather long-lived and that would take input from, or that would aggregate input over the whole registry, it might be a good idea if you could find someone to co-author this with you. Just to ensure that any load that comes from it can be balanced a bit better. But I'm aware that in a small working group, this might be a difficult thing.
Yeah, I'm certainly open to suggestions here.
why do I just have this mental image of a group of people asking people to step forward and everyone takes a step back?
But I have this mental image of somebody who got hurt and is lying on the ground, and there are 50 people around that person who could apply first aid, but everybody thinks everybody else could do it. Anyway. Yeah, I think I first have to do my homework and to get this document into better shape, and then maybe somebody will line up helping me with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks for that presentation and the work in going into the document. Is there any other business that we should talk about today?
Marco here, relaying from Christian. Any other business from today? Well, if you heard me, I heard none.
Yeah, we heard.
Okay, thanks everybody. I think we're done.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.